will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has presided over a reception at the National Army Club in honor of senior active and retired officers of the National People's Army. The Arab Parliament has called for an international recognition of the State of Palestine in support of justice, international equality and human rights. Sudan's Minister of State for Social Welfare, Salim Ishaq, has revealed that the Rapid Support paramilitary forces killed 300 women overall during the first 2 days of their entry into Al Fasher, the capital of the North Darfur state in western Sudan. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm your host, Mariam Barshi. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has received messages from several heads of states and governments and kings and princes of brotherly and friendly countries on the occasion of the celebration of the 71st anniversary of the outbreak of the glorious November 1st, 1954 Liberation War. Mohamed Khatel has more details.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, received a message from his Turkish counterpart, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, during which he expressed satisfaction with the level of bilateral relations, which continue to develop in a spirit of mutual understanding and shared will, considering that strengthening relations between Turkey and Algeria is of paramount importance for the region's peace and prosperity and for the peoples of both countries. President Tebboune also received the congratulations of the King of the Kingdom of Belgium, Philippe Leopold Louis Marie, who extended his best wishes for health and happiness, highlighting the importance of the relations between Algeria and Belgium, which are characterized by a spirit of friendship and mutual cooperation. He also received a message from the President of the Republic of Austria, Mr. Alexander van der Bellen, who highlighted the excellent relations between the two countries, which constitute an additional incentive for economic cooperation in various fields, particularly in renewable energies, as an important sector for the future through the joint project in the field of hydrogen. On the same occasion, the Austrian President affirmed to the President of the Republic the shared commitment to the rule of law which Algeria has reflected through its effective and prominent role in the Security Council, commanding the continued coordination to support Austria's membership to the same body for the period of 2027 and 2028. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, also received congratulations from the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, praising the strong historical relations and bonds of brotherhood and cooperation that unite the two peoples. The President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Mr. Masoud Pezeshkian, also extended his congratulations to the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, and to the Algerian people, affirming that the anti-colonial spirit and courage of the Algerian people and their leaders during decades of liberation struggle have always been a source of inspiration for freedom-loving nations and world leaders wishing further progress in relations in line with the interests of the two peoples and countries. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, also received a message from the Crown Prince of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Chairman of the Council of Ministers, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, who extended his wishes for health and happiness, progress and prosperity for the Algerian people. He also received a congratulations message from the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, who extended his congratulations to the President of the Republic and to the Algerian people, praising the fraternal relations that bind the two countries and their efforts to strengthen and develop them in all fields of endeavor.
The President of the Russian Federation, Mr. Vladimir Putin, has also extended his warmest congratulations to the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, on the occasion of the 71st anniversary of the glorious Algerian Liberation War, emphasizing that Algerian-Russian relations are developing dynamically within the spirit of a deep strategic partnership, stressing his conviction that constructive cooperation will continue on current bilateral and international issues benefiting both the Russian and Algerian peoples and strengthening security and stability in Africa and the Middle East. The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has presided over a reception at the National Army Club in Bni Messous, Algiers, in honor of senior active and retired officers of the National People's Army. Asia Bekkar reports.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, was greeted at the entrance of the National Army Club by General Saeed Chengriha, Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense and Chief of Staff of the National People's Army. The ceremony is part of traditions of the National People's Army aimed at highlighting key stages of our glorious history and paying tribute to our valiant martyrs. It was attended by high-ranking officials who listened to the national anthem performed by a musical troupe of the Republican Guard, followed by the performance of the two revolutionary songs from our heritage. The audience then watched a documentary film entitled The November Revolution, an Epic of Glory, The Path to Victory, produced by the Directorate of Information and Communication of the General Staff of the National People's Army. The ceremony concluded with fireworks display accompanied by excerpts from various musical genres.
The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has presided over a ceremony at the People's Palace to award medals to a number of generals and major generals as part of the celebrations commemorating the 71st anniversary of the glorious November 1st, 1954 revolution. Accompanied by the Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, the Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Chengriha, and other senior state officials, President Tebboune oversaw the awarding of medals to a group of military personnel following the approval by both Houses of Parliament of two laws establishing 90 new medals in the People's National Army. On the occasion, Lieutenant General Saeed Chengriha delivered a speech expressing his thanks and appreciation to the President of the Republic for presiding over the ceremony, emphasizing that the creation of these medals aims to establish a national military merit system that values sacrifice, competence and efficiency.
أود بهذه المناسبة الوطنية المتميزة.
On this distinguished national occasion, which reflects our commitment to the principles, values and symbolism of the glorious November Revolution, I would like to express to you, Mr. President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, on my own behalf and on behalf of all members of the National People's Army, our deepest appreciation and gratitude for your presence at the ceremony for awarding medals to a group of officers and personnel. The ceremony follows the creation of 19 new medals within the National People's Army, and the establishment of these medals comes in implementation of your high instructions aimed at continuing efforts to strengthen the material, organizational and human capabilities of the National People's Army, particularly with regard to motivating personnel and improving the performance of the human element, which is the cornerstone of any development project.
As for the creation of the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Medal, Lieutenant General Chengriha said it aims to reward military personnel for their significant and commendable sacrifices in defending the homeland and its citizens. The Minister of Culture and Arts, Mrs. Malika Bendouda, has met in Cairo, Egypt, with the Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Khalid El-Anani, with whom she discussed ways and means to strengthen the partnership and cooperation between Algeria and UNESCO in the field of heritage protection. On the sidelines of her participation in the opening ceremony of the Grand Egyptian Museum in Cairo, Mrs. Bendouda also discussed with Mr. El-Anani the consolidation of legal frameworks capable of protecting and promoting national cultural and heritage specificities. For his part, the Director General of UNESCO presented his ambitious vision for strengthening the organization's role as a unifying framework to promote understanding, international cooperation, and positive exchanges between member states. He reaffirmed on the occasion his commitment to addressing the various related issues in a spirit of responsibility and transparency in accordance with the organization's objectives. Moving into the situation in the Middle East, the Arab Parliament has called for an international recognition of the State of Palestine in support of justice, international equality and human rights. In a communique issued today on the occasion of the 108th anniversary of the Balfour Declaration, it stressed that such a declaration represented one of the most unfair decisions in contemporary history. The Speaker of the Arab Parliament, Mohammed bin Ahmed Al-Yamahi, accused that the declaration had yielded to the suffering of the Palestinian people and paved the way for the policies carried out by the Israeli occupying authorities, including the displacement of the acts of aggression still perpetrated against the Palestinian people. In this connection, 78 Palestinians, including 3 children, were today arrested during an operation carried out by the Israeli army in a locality north of the West Bank town of Hebron. 4 others were earlier arrested in Qalqilia. This came as UNRWA affirmed that the Jewish settlers-related violence recently increased to reach unprecedented levels. It affirmed that the last month was the most violent in 12 or 13 years, and emphasized that the forced displacement of the population, especially in the northern part of the West Bank, coincided with the expansion of the demolition operations, causing hundreds of Palestinian families to leave their homes. In Lebanon, 4 people have been killed in airstrike carried out by the Israeli army against the southern part of the country. 3 other people were injured in the attack that hit the district of Nabatieh. The Israeli army pursued its attacks despite the ceasefire enforced last year, with the aim of ending the Israeli attacks and paving the way for an Israeli troop withdrawal or troop pull-out of the country. In this respect, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun recently accused the Israeli authorities of responding to Lebanon's offer of negotiations by intensifying its attacks on the country's southern region. He affirmed that Lebanon was ready to hold negotiations to put an end to the Israeli occupation, recalling that any negotiation requires a reciprocal will. And 2 British nationals have been detained following a mass stabbing attack on a London-bound train, though police say there is no suggestion of a terror-related motive. British police reported that 10 people have been hospitalized, none of them with life-threatening injuries, and that counter-terrorism officers are supporting the investigation. Police also confirmed that Plato, the national code word used for it when responding to a potential marauding terror attack, had been activated. The incident occurred as the Doncaster to London King's Cross train was travelling south toward Huntingdown, a market town located a few miles northwest of the university city of Cambridge. And in Sudan, some 750 children have fled in El Fasher city in the western part of the country without their families amid attacks by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, as Shabakar reports.
The Darfur Displaced and Refugees Coordination Committee said that over 36,000 people have escaped Al Fasher, the capital of North Darfur State, due to escalating violence. The Sudanese group stressed that the displaced families are in urgent need for food, with most of them now concentrated in Tawila, nearly 60 kilometers from Al Fasher. It called for piling pressure to enforce a ceasefire, highlighting reports of sexual violence against displaced civilians from Al Fasher. The group said that most of the displaced civilians from the city suffer from severe malnutrition, with the majority being children and the elderly. The Al Fasher Resistance Coordination, a grassroots committee, also said in a statement that more than 450 children have reached safe areas without their families after losing them while fleeing bombardments and attacks on civilians in the city. It added that many children and wounded people are still stranded in the open without shelter or protection after escaping from Al Fasher. The committee also revealed that over 460 patients and injured people have arrived in critical health conditions, lacking the most basic means of treatment and care. Earlier, the Sudan Doctors Network said at least 12 people, including children and women, were killed and several others injured in drone strikes carried out by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces targeting 2 displacement centers in South Kordofan State. The RSF launched a drone strike on shelter center within the premises of the International Organization for Migration in the city of Kadugli, killing 5 children. Another drone strike targeted a displacement camp in Al Abbasiyah, Tagali area, killing 7 people, including children and women, and injuring others. The Coordination of Resistance Committees in South Kordofan, another volunteer group, confirmed the 2 incidents. The Sudan Doctors Network said targeting civilians and humanitarian organizations is clear evidence that the RSF is waging a total war against the Sudanese people and deliberately spreading terror and death everywhere.
Sudan's Minister of State for Social Welfare, Salimeh Shak, revealed that the Rapid Support paramilitary forces killed 300 women during the first 2 days of their entry into Al Fasher, the capital of North Darfur State in western Sudan, stating that the women were subjected to attacks, violence and torture. And with that, we conclude this edition of the news. Thank you for joining us on Radio Algeria International.
Occasion of the celebration of the anniversary of the outbreak of the November Revolution, we're happy to have with us Mr. Monsef Boudarba, Algerian historical and political analyst, to talk about the people's support for the revolution. Mr. Boudarba, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation. As you may know, the Algerian Revolution was considered in the world as an example. First of all, because of the huge amount of mobilization inside the country, the respectability oversight. All the world was watching us, and we can say with a lot of pride that we succeeded in the achievement of the outbreak. Well, we knew that the mobilization started after the First World War I, but the organization of as a main objective, as a struggle, and as a popular mobilization became after World War II, when a lot of Algerians that were involved in the military occupation during the war, they took that opportunity, and the history of the war gave a lot of strength and determination to give an opportunity for our people to understand that independence and freedom was achievable.
Yeah.
And that's the first sign.
Yeah, and they saw that war was the only way to achieve this independence. There was no other way.
The mobilization of the PPA or the MTLD, the first political organization that started to organize, the ideology of freedom, the ideology of to achieve, a separation between France and the Algerian territory. So this is the beginning of a long, war in the minds of the people, and everybody knew that the final point of the war was the independence. So the second point, which is very important for historians to reveal, is that the mobilization was done for the Algerians, all the classes, let's say.
Exactly, Mr.
All the classes participated and mobilized to achieve that purpose. So this is a real popular, struggle. And that's the reason why we succeed. It was a united classes, economical classes of as a target to get rid of the French occupation.
Mr. Monsef, exactly. That's what I wanted to ask you. Now, how did ordinary people, like civilian people, react at that time, to the outbreak of the November Revolution?
Well, there was a lot of opposition leaders, figures of our historical struggle that started to, to fight intellectually and to promote the ideology of freedom and dignity around the intellectuals. A lot of the Algerian people that were students that were in France, they started to organize themselves as a student organization for freedom and dignity, and started to mobilize the ideology of freedom. That was very important with the student movement that became most of them were arrested, and this gave strength to the ideology and determination as well for our intellectual leaders to pursue the struggle in terms of ideology. And then when they started to ask for self-determination and electoral participation, because the first point for our struggle was the electoral participation in the electoral process under the French colony. So this was the first political aims or objectives for our people, was to participate politically in the political process of choosing their leaders. When this was refused by the colonization power or the colonization status, then became the idea to prepare ourselves to a military struggle. And this was happened in Kharrata, this happened in Sétif, this happened also in Algiers. The riots, the popular riots became in 48, as you may know, and this is what gave a lot of mobilization and popularity to the movement and determination to make the struggle a military purpose for our independence.
Mr. Monsef, the beautiful thing, the good thing about the Algerian Revolution, it was that also, in addition to intellects who, of course, supported the revolution, there were many illiterate people. They were illiterate, of course, as a result of France's colonial education system that kept most Algerians from learning. These illiterate people believed in the cause and stood with the revolution. Many Algerians who did not fight on the front lines still played vital roles, men and women, for example, cooking for fighters, hiding them, and risking their lives to protect them. What do you think motivated these men and women to take that risk?
Let's say in the all the revolution, when you see the Bolshevik revolution in 1917 and all the popular revolution, even though in China or in Algeria, you can make a comparison because, all this popular movement, they need leadership. The leadership in our country was an intellectual leadership, believe me or not. Some people, they say it was half and half, but let's say the figures, the political figures. Of course,
to raise awareness at least.
Yes, were doctors, were lawyers, were people very well educated, and they came from wealthy family, and they pushed and organized and encouraged the popular support from the illiterate people, which were in the 50s about 80% of the population. So the 15 or 20% of the population, they are the people that made the success, and they are the people that gave strength to our fight, our popular fight, and when we started, and we see the role of the intellectual in two phases: the beginning of the war, the mobilization in 54, and at the beginning of the negotiations in the early 1960, when they started to talk to the French government. That was starting the first contact in Geneva, in Evian and everything. And the negotiation team were led by intellectuals that push the idea of freedom, dignity, and democratic rights for all the people of Algeria.
Can we say, Mr. Monsef, that the brutality of the French then colonization authorities that increased, especially after World War II, can we say that it laid the ground for people's support of the revolution? Or is it like the outcome of the previous resistance that was witnessed in Algeria, from north, south, everywhere?
The brutality came out when the French realized that they could not leave Algeria. They could not leave the territory of Algeria because the territory of Algeria was part of France. In terms of territory, not in terms of people, not in terms of habitants, but in terms of territory. And the wealth that came from Algeria was a French property wealth. So this is that what makes the French government to react with a lot of violence and a lot of brutality, but because they realized that the Algerian people were determined, to achieve their independence. So there was what we call in history a no way out. The no way out pushed the French people, the French government, to go to the extreme violence and to the brutality. That's because they knew from the beginning that it's what we call process irreversible, which history in the world of humanity has always the same direction. You cannot go in another way. The direction of freedom, the direction of democracy, the direction of dignity and liberty for all the people. That's what happened in Vietnam later on. We've watched and we've seen, we witnessed, the Americans, what they did in Vietnam. We witnessed what happened in South Africa with the Afrikaners, with the black people of South Africa. And the Algerian Revolution played an important role in all the independence movement in Africa, in Angola, in Tanzania, in Mozambique. In which is called today Namibia, Rhodesia, all these countries, they achieved their independence, their freedom, and they became independent states because of the Algerian Revolution.
Mr. Monsef, France used brutal tactics, including torture, executions, and firing live bullets at peaceful demonstrations. How did these actions affect the morale and determination of the Algerian population?
It did not affect. The opposite. It provoked more mobilization and more determination and more courageous acts to achieve their independence.
The opposite of what France wanted.
Yes. The people, when you push the people against the war, the people always react to this violence by discipline, by mobilization, by achieving independence goals. There's no way out. I mean, this is the process of human liberty, of human freedom. Nobody accepts to be ruled under more than 150 years without having their right determination to be a sovereign state, to be a free state, to be recognized by the world as part of the humanity. No one can put this process in stop. I mean, so everybody knows that the independence of Algeria was ineluctable for the human history.
Yeah, and very well earned.
Yes, well, that's why today we are a little bit, we Algerian, we expect, we are very jealous of our country. We have a high level of patriotism. We don't accept injustice for us and for other people. We are always defending the right determination of all the people to be themselves. And we also have a lot of values, human values. We protect and support all the independence revolution in the world. We are for negotiation for the Western Sahara. This is our let's say our ADN.
Palestine as well.
Yes, that's because we believe on those value of freedom, determination, dignity of and self-determination of all the people on earth.
Of course. Now, last question, Mr. Monsef. Can we say that the people's support for the Algerian Revolution played a major role, if not the main role, in leading to independence, like the belief that people had in the revolution?
Yes, definitely. We cannot forget that. You see, independence is a concept of